It's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Friday, November 14th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple quick clarifications. Number one, the candlestick that you see right there will be moving around and changing. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. Second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So ticker symbol number one, we were looking at ONDS, and we have ourselves a good solid pattern here. So let's just get this mapped out firsthand. So let's first talk about the top part of the pattern, and that would be this area of resistance right there. Let's change that to red. And then as far as supports, don't even really need a lower trend line. In my opinion, at least, I'm just going to use that pink line there, which is the very famous, the very well-known 200 period simple moving average as the bottom part of the pattern, which you can see has already provided support on several occasions. And then let's just use the same color to make hopefully seeing the pattern easier to see. So again, we have that area of resistance. We have that area of support. We have the big upwards move right there. And then for you golfers, try to make it a little bit more visual for you. Put the golf hole down here. This would be a bull pennant pattern. Now, just because something's in a bullish pattern does not mean that for sure guaranteed if it comes up here and breaks through there, it's going to give a big breakout. My point here is it at least plausible? Is it at least a valid question to throw out there as a possibility? And absolutely. So again, not a guarantee, but a more than plausible question to suggest. So if you're somebody that's like this price range down below $10, you like bull pennants, then certainly keep an eye on it. Next one here, NVVE. I'm going to go through this one very quickly because you literally just heard me talk about it, so I want to respect your time as much as possible. So we have a very hopefully recognizable pattern now after we just talked about it. Oops, let's get that down there. There we go. Change that to green for support. And then just because I can't help myself, let's keep it all one color just to make sure we're all seeing the same thing. So there's our resistance. There's our support. There's the very big upwards move right there. Our golf hole down here. So once again, we are looking at another bull pennant pattern. I'd say the biggest difference here is this one happens to be on a penny stock. So again, just because it's bullish doesn't mean the price is going to keep on going up, but I don't think that's the most unreasonable thing to throw out there as a suggestion either. So if you like bull pennants, but you prefer penny stocks, then here you go. Next one here, looking at OPEN, and this one finally pulled back a little bit. So this can seem like end of the world if you get, if you grow used to just putting in higher highs. So there's a high, there's a high. Whoops, it's behind my ugly mug. There's a high, there's a new high, there's a new high. And then today, there is not a new high. So again, I understand from that angle, it can feel really, really rough, but overall the chart is doing just fine. And then when you stop and think about that, not that long ago, the price was down here, and now the price is all the way up there. Yes, even though it did pull back, everything is still perfectly fine. Now, one quick note, if you are some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, and you bought right there, and your plan, was to buy and sell within a few minutes, well then yes, from that angle, things might be looking pretty rough because there was this pullback. But assuming you care about the grand scheme of it all, even though it did not put in a new high today, the price still has plenty of opportunity to build those higher bases and build higher lows. And that's what it's all about. And really, the most straightforward way to gauge that moving forward is just continue to watch that purple line there, the 50-period simple keyword moving average. So as time goes by, that pink line is going to move itself higher and higher. So as long as the price stays above a line where the line itself is moving higher and higher, well then by definition, the price itself is putting in those higher lows, and that's what an uptrend is all about. So yeah, today it did pull back, but overall, the trend is still fully intact. Next one, TNMG, and overall, very potentially rough-looking situation for people, especially anybody that was buying around this area of the chart, or even, buying a dip right there. This latter part of the day has certainly pulled back, but there is still hope from the overall standpoint. What do I mean by the overall standpoint, which is, what I've been talking about, and that is just building a higher base. So if you look at this previous breakout point right there at 36 cents, it technically isn't even there. And I'm not saying this will occur and it'll go down there, but let's just say it does. And then it behaves like this. Now, emphasis here on big picture. From the big picture standpoint, what do you still have? Well, you'd still have a set of lows there. You'd have lows down here. And if you envision each of those as stair-steps, well, you have stair-steps making progress in the upwards direction. And again, from an overall standpoint, that's what it's all about. I'm well aware that if you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, and you bought up around there, you definitely don't care about these stair-steps. So I'm trying to kind of parse out the two different, frameworks that people might be working through. So if you have the framework, again, more so the bigger picture, then yes, even with the bigger pullback here, the price does still have the chance to build that higher base at 36 cents, which I would consider a very, very important level moving forward. So we'll see if the bulls can get that job done or not. Next one here, SOXS, and we have one of these where I'm going to just go a little bit quicker because Hopefully you remember me talking about this. There we go. Now this one maybe looks a little different. Wow. And that's why I like to use when the markets are open. Last 30 minutes are looking pretty rough, but nonetheless, the pattern is still intact. So let's get it all mapped out here. Again, it doesn't look the exact same, but the psychology is the same. So there's our resistance. There's our support. There's a nice upward move right there. Here's a golf hole down here. So now we are looking at another bull pennant on SOXS. But self-admittably, yeah, this last 30 minutes, quite rough. So is the price coming down to the bottom part? And if so, will it bounce off of it? That's an interesting scenario, or maybe you just want to wait and see if it can break up through there. So that's another interesting scenario, but no doubt about it. Nice bull pennant here. Very rough final 30 minutes, but it is still happening within the context of the bullish pattern. So very interesting to see how Friday will all play out. Real quick, want to take a break and help you solve a very common problem that maybe pertains to you, and that is your desire to be a day trader, and I'm defining day trader as having unlimited day trades every single day, but you can't because of the pattern day trading rule. Well, please understand there is a market available out there and a strategy that you can use that not only allows you to totally avoid the pattern day trading rule, but also have very little of your money at risk with a whole lot of upside potential. Now, I'm well aware that right now this may sound like one big scam. I get it, which is why I say come swing by my live stream and watch all this with your very own eyes. Ask me any sort of questions. I do live stream every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, and I go for a few hours because I totally get it. This sounds very sketchy right now, but like I said, it's what I've been doing and it works. And if you want to see it with your very own eyes, then definitely come by the live stream and watch and ask any questions. Next one here, looking at BITF. And in this situation, we have ourselves a different type of pattern. So let's get this drawn into play. There is the support part of the pattern. Here is the resistance part. And this would be known as a falling wedge, which is actually a bullish pattern. You would think a falling wedge would be bearish, but actually the rising wedge is the bearish one. But nonetheless, we have a nice falling wedge here. And just like I've talked about already with those bull pennants, just because this is a bullish pattern does not mean if the price breaks up through there, it's going to get some good, solid upwards continuation. But in my opinion, is that at least a valid question to throw out there as a possibility? Absolutely. So if you like falling wedge patterns, you like this price range down below $5, then certainly keep an eye on it. Next one here, SGBX. Quite a wild ride, but now that the dust has settled, we have a couple of key levels that stand out to me. The first key level is that key breakout point right here at $3.50. You can see a couple instances right there. It got rejected by it. So $3.50, I would consider definitely that main battleground, where again, no guarantees, but a good high volume break of $3.50. I think there's a legitimate chance it could send it back up to at least do battle with those previous highs right there. And then on the flip side of things, as in terms of levels of support, no need to overcomplicate it. Have a very clean lower trend line right there as support. So as time has gone by throughout the course of the day, you can see the price has slowly built those higher lows, and that's being represented by that lower trend line right there. So if you want to just call this an ascending triangle for you pattern fanatics out there, there you go. There is also an ascending triangle pattern. But overall, if you like this price range and you like any sorts of these angles, then definitely keep an eye on it. Next one here, BBAI. Pretty rough move when you stop and think about the fact that late day yesterday, it broke out of that resistance level, was grinding, and then just like that, slam back down. So pretty brutal movement from that angle. So back to the drawing board here, and now the price is sitting at, I don't want to call it do or die levels, but definitely some very important areas. And the first key, very important level, again, not do or die, but I would say is quite important, is right here around that $6 mark. Now, it's not quite there, but the reason why, in my opinion, $6 is very important is if the price were to come down here and then break down below it, all of a sudden what you have is the price having gone essentially right back to where it was, back in this area here. And I realize you can't quite see it, but the point here being is the price was down here and then made a huge explosion up here. And not to insult your intelligence, but price movements that make big explosions and then go back to where they started, not exactly a sign of genuine power. Once again, I'm not saying that's what's going to occur, but that is why, in my opinion, that $6 mark, very, very important. In terms of levels of resistance, if this price does try to push back upwards and fight, key initial area to resistance to watch very closely going to be that pink line right there. That 200 period moving average right now valid at, we'll just call it $6.45. But in my opinion, for the time being, the top priority is not necessarily breaking levels of resistance, but ensuring the price doesn't go back to where it was, which again, as defined, would be down below that $6 mark. So yeah, we'll see how things close out the week on Friday. Next one here, RGTI. We have another one of these falling wedge patterns. So in the spirit of not wanting to waste your time and try to respect it as much as possible, let's just quickly get this into play. So there's our area of support. There is the bottom part of it. And actually the price did try to already break out a little bit from there. So the good news is it's knocking on the door right here. So yeah, can the price get the break of the falling wedge? And if so, does that falling wedge generate some upside buying pressure? That is certainly the main, at least in my opinion, the most interesting dynamic moving forward. And I would say the biggest difference here is also that a lot of the other stocks have been, down below $10, have been penny stocks. But here's one that's a little bit more quote unquote expensive. But either way you look at it, RGTI has been talked about quite a bit. But yeah, today's been a rough day. But within the rough day, we have the bullish falling wedge pattern. So we'll see if it can deliver on Friday. Next one here, TSLA Tesla, and a very rough day on this one, not only because it was a big red day, but when you look at the technical areas, had these couple of pretty important areas of support, and both of them in the same day were not like slightly broken, but absolutely smashed in the opening hour of the day right there. So definitely updates need to be done. I'll go ahead and get rid of that level as it served its purpose, and that level right there. And first update I'll do is just based on a foundation rule in charting, which states when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So to give some credit where credit's due, there's been a slight little bounce here. But if this bounce is going to continue, then that is where the first battleground resides and kind of the first big question. And that question is, can the price, have enough strength to not only bounce, but also be able to bounce and get through and stay above $414. So watch that level very, very closely as that initial area of resistance. But as of now, the key dynamics here are just the supports, and no need to overcomplicate it after a day like this. Very basic logic, and the logic just states this question: where did the bleeding finally stop? And the bleeding finally stopped right down there at about 396.50. And if we scroll things down, you can see it's been a long time since the price has been down this low. But looky there, 396.50 would just happen to be that gap close location right at that area there. So the gap is closed. Now it's just a question of, will the gap close present a bounce, or is this just some sort of little temporary bounce where it bounces and then continues on to roll back over? But no doubt about it, the selling pressure has already been in Tesla, but it took a whole nother leap forward in terms of really showing up strong today. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you are sick and tired of the pattern day trend rule and you just want a market that quite frankly moves way better than penny stocks and small caps anyways, then definitely check out what I've been doing. Swing by the live stream, see it with your very own eyes, and ask me any sort of questions that you may have, because I understand it does sound too good to be true, but it's not. So swing by the live stream, and like I said, watch it with your very own eyes. So thanks for hanging out. Make sure you hit that like button, and hopefully I'll see you on the live stream.